So can I just like complain about something real
Yeah, go
quick?
for it. Yeah.
Okay, there's this, the film The Drama that came out?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was like, well, what is the drama? Like it's so
hmm
enticing and it's like there's a mystery to her.
hmm
There's like a secret that comes out before they get married and it like affects everything. And it's a nut and then of course me needing to just know the ending, I like looked up what the secret was and I'm like,
hmm
this is so heavy. And it reminds me of It Ends With Us in the way that they're marketing the film and they're marketing it in like a
Huh.
very like cute, lovey-dovey, maybe borderline funny movie, but the actual secret or the actual like
Is very dark.
is so dark. And
Oh,
I'm like, there's a really big issue with people marketing films and they like want people to get into the theater,
yeah.
but like they're hiding something that could be very emotionally triggering for people and like really
Interesting.
dark. And like it's like you can't like the way it's marketing, I thought it would be like a rom-com.
But the way
Like,
that the thing that they're doing with the marketing, which is smart, but clearly not 100% effective, is that they're gradual. They are showing it's supposed to be a love story, but as we're getting closer to the thing, because they've been showing the first poster is them really cute, but the most last poster is them all beaten up and bloody. And so they are gradually
really?
show, yeah. So that's part of the marketing campaign, but clearly it's not 100% effective if you are only seeing the first half of it.
Yeah, it's not effective.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
no.
No, because I've known this whole, I didn't know, I don't know if it's going to be like, I'm assuming it's a drama, not like a horror, but like
Yeah.
from what I've seen of it, I've seen the bloody pictures, even for a while they've had the bloody pictures and have the like them beaten up. And I'm like, okay,
Mm,
this is a wedding gone wrong, or this is a couple gone wrong.
interesting. Okay, so I haven't seen that. And then sometimes you get things like out of order, like you can't
Mm.
control the order of when
Yeah.
things come across your vision. So I've not seen the newer posters.
Mm.
So that's better, but
But to your
that still
point,
actually, what you're describing still doesn't touch on what the story actually is about from what I heard.
yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
That is actually really concerning. And unfortunately, the only movie I can think of at the moment that did that egregiously was like It Ends With Us,
Yeah.
which is a real, and that was literally part of the controversy of the movie, is that it's a really dark movie and it's a really dark story,
Yeah.
but it was marketed like a rom-com and everyone's like, go grab your flowers and grab your girls and go see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
It's
I
weird.
I can't watch it. I would be like I find that I don't feel comfortable. I don't want to watch it.
Yeah. Same. It's like I don't want to watch that, but people like need to know. People need to know what
hmm
they're gonna watch.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
So, what are we talking about today?
Today, we're going to talk about the 2010 film Black Swan, actually, directed by Darren
Yeah.
Aronofsky. I had you watch it. You've never seen it before. I'd seen it a few times. So yeah, we're going to chat about that a little bit today. But, before we begin, just a quick introduction. This is the Real Thesis Podcast, and in this place, we love to analyze films, analyze stories on screen, and just kind of dive deep into what the story is about and how the filmmaking, the screenwriting, the acting techniques all kind of lend to what the story is and help tell the story. I'm Shalini, and I'm a screenwriter and budding filmmaker, also a lawyer, a writer, many things. And this is coming from a place of just wanting to learn more about films as I grow in my own career as a screenwriter, director, and all that. And you are?
Hi, everyone. I'm Liana. I am a writer, a music critic, and an artist. And I was very excited to see this movie. I've never seen it before, so this was my first time, but I know it's a really popular film and a really incredible look at the dangers of perfection and the dangers of art. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, I'll give a quick overview. So basically, it is about a dancer at, um, I guess it's the
The
American
conservatory.
Ballet Theater.
I
I
do
don't,
not recall if they specified the conservatory.
yeah, I don't specify the conservatory, but they dance at the Lincoln Performing Arts Center. So I
Mm.
don't know the exact, I guess the New York Ballet.
Mhm.
Anyway, she's been dancing with the company for a while, and they are putting on Swan Lake, and she's so desperate to get chosen for the role of, the Swan Princess. And she ends up getting the role, but she kind of really struggles with it because she's so uptight. She's so, into technique and things like that, that she really struggles to embody the Swan Princess role because it involves the White Swan, Odessa, as well as the Black Swan, Odile or Odile. And she's very good at the White Swan. She's very good at like this portraying half of it, but she's unable to get in touch with the darker side to portray the darker swan. And her director keeps challenging her to like explore herself, explore things, like basically pushing to find this darker side of her so that she can portray the Black Swan. And the role is just incredibly consuming. She starts to see, she starts to see things. She starts to see herself kind of everywhere. She starts to get like, I guess, sabotaged by another ballerina in her company. Um, and basically it's hard to explain, but like, yeah, like basically the role is just very consuming her. She's struggling with it. And it all kind of culminates in her finally getting a grasp of both characters on opening night. But it sort of inadvertently results in her accidentally, stabbing herself and because she was sort of hallucinating. And perhaps I'll go into detail a bit, but it's sort of hard to like summarize it without, explaining things a lot.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we're definitely getting into a lot of spoilers here. Sorry, that was a spoiler. This movie
Yeah.
is 16 years old. But
Yes.
we are so definitely spoilers. We're talking about the whole movie. There's also a couple of trigger warnings I think we should throw in here before we get any
Yeah.
further.
Yeah. So I definitely do want to say a trigger warning for it does touch on suicide. That is something we talk about as well as eating disorders, as well as I'm not sure if this is that much of a trigger, but a little bit of potentially sexual abuse.
Yes.
It does touch on things, and I think we may talk about it more in depth. So if any of those are really heavy topics, just tune into a lighter episode. This might, be a bit darker because there's quite a few triggers with this.
Quite a few
So,
triggers. There's also I call it body horror just because I don't know a more specific term. A little bit of body horror, a little bit skin picking is a thing. And definitely this maybe is not a video that YouTube is going to like, but these are all actually like really essential to the story itself as part of the story that they're telling. So that's why we're keeping it in. We're talking about these things.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, so this was your first time seeing it. What did you think? Like, what was your take on it? Did you like the film?
I did. So this was a movie that I always thought was too scary to watch, and it was actually not as scary as I thought it was going to be. I've read the Wikipedia plot before, and you had told me about the skin peeling scene, and I think that would have freaked me out the most. So I was grateful for a
Mm.
warning. Uh, I really enjoyed it.
Really?
I let myself get immersed in it because it felt very, especially in the beginning, it had a documentary feel to it, where it's a little
Mm.
fuzzy, it's a little handheld cameras, close ups. So could easily lose myself in the story. And then I just got really interested in the themes of it and kind of what was happening. And I was almost like, okay, they said this is psychological horror. How much psychological horror is this going to be? And then at the end, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Awesome. This is what I signed
Yeah.
up for.
Yeah.
So really glad I finally watched it. I should have watched it before.
Have you seen any other Darren Aronofsky films?
I don't know his other films. What are his other films?
Requiem for a Dream is like one of the biggest ones. I've actually only seen Requiem for a Dream and Mother, but if you look at his list, like there's something that even came out this last year, and I can't remember the name, but he's
Oh,
done
he did
so
do
many.
something. He did do something
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
Um, what did you think, both of the movie and also having seen it before and having seen Requiem for a Dream?
Um, so it's interesting because I actually saw Requiem for a Dream, you know, I think I saw that in 2010 and this came out in 2010. So I think I actually saw both films like within the same year, even though for a Dream came out way before. And I remember liking Black Swan a lot when I saw it the first time. But as you said, it's been 16 years. And now that I look back at the film, I'm like, I don't know if I'm a Darren Aronofsky fan because I really did not like Mother. Like, I hated the film Mother. But even not liking the film, I was sitting there being like, it's so smart. Like, it's really well done. And I forgot to say that the film was nominated for like Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress, and Natalie Portman won for her role as the main character, Nina. But like, so I didn't like it, but the whole time I was like, yeah, like I totally see why it was nominated. I see Like I get it,
So you
I can
didn't like it the
appreciate the
second
art.
round?
No, I didn't like it the second round. I was just like, yeah, we can get into it, but there's a lot I didn't like about it this time around.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Um, um, I would like to hear more about why you didn't like it.
Yeah.
But I think something that really worked for me was that on the surface level, like I feel like the themes, the motifs are very obvious here, but everything was in the service of the themes and of the story. Like all the symbolism, all the
Yeah.
things that were happening, all were really well coordinated, all directed towards the themes of the movie. And agreed, it's a well-made movie. I can see why it won. Um, this is
Yeah.
definitely a conversation where I was like, I finished it. I was like, I have to talk about this with Shalini because I was like, there's so much that I needed to articulate together.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
figuring this out
same.
as we go.
No, that's
Uh,
how I feel too. Yeah.
yeah. So definitely, obviously, I think the biggest thing about this is the pursuit of perfection. And Nina is someone who is technically perfect, especially in the white swan role, but she is technically perfect. She is obsessive about every move. She gets it really right. And what she struggles to do is be imperfect and to let go. And that is also essential to the role, particularly the Black Swan. That is, she needs to be seductive. She needs to be alluring. She needs to be carefree and effortless. And she can't really do that. And that's the whole struggle of it. Um, jump in
Yeah,
here.
I very much feel like, I think it's interesting because when we see performance films, it's always about getting something right. And it's usually perfect. Like they usually can't get a dance technique right, or they can't, if you think of Dirty Dancing, like she can't nail the big leap at the ending, And it's interesting that when the movie starts, like we're not worried about her technique. Like she's dancing in New York with the ballet theater. I thought it was interesting that like for the audition, he's like, okay, dance the White Swan dance, and she knows it. Like they're not
Mhm.
even learning the dance, like what
Right.
they do
They're
in rehearsal.
already soloists here.
Exactly, the already soloist. I found that so interesting that what she learns after she gets the part is like finessing it and finessing like how to bring that role to life. But the actual steps, she knows it and she can knows the steps to both parts. And so I was like, wow, it's not about learning it. It's not about peak performance. It's about imperfection, like you said. Like it's actually like the pursuit of perfection is not what she's after. It's actually the pursuit of, I don't know if it's a pursuit of imperfection.
That doesn't sound right, but
Yeah.
she is being obsessive and a perfectionist about being imperfect. And,
Yeah. Well,
and
she's trying to like, it's more like, yeah, she's trying to go about being imperfect in a very strategic way, almost.
yeah. And again, it's not imperfection, but it is
It's almost like
this,
you're embracing like the darker and messier,
yes, a messier,
uncontrolled, more
more
human.
animalistic,
Yeah, more
even.
animalistic, which is interesting. Yeah, and more animalistic side of you.
Mhm.
Um, no, it's totally true. And I think it was very interesting that it's set in ballet because ballet is almost like a pursuit of perfection. Like it is a
Yes,
pursuit of
it is.
nailing these exact steps, like the nailing this exact ways. And so much of it comes from like muscle memory. So it's interesting that it's all set in this world where things are very perfect and the whole thing is a pursuit of perfection.
Mhm. And that's where she's struggling, is that it's like counterintuitive to everything that she knows and everything that she has been trained to do in this moment. There's also, and we're going to talk more about this theme, but there's also this theme that I saw people talking about growing up in the sense
Oh.
of shedding innocence. And I was like, I don't know if I
Hmm.
100% feel the feel of growing up, but it's definitely there. She has a very overprotective mother. She's kind of infantilized in a way. Like she's treated as if
Hmm.
she's 12 years old, essentially. Like her room
Hmm.
is all pink. Her mother does everything for her.
Yeah,
Um,
it's so weird.
and part of the story is her embracing a sexual side to her. And so people have read this as like a growing up, as an
Yeah.
embracing the more mature, more adult side. Again, I don't think growing up is like I like I wouldn't put this in a coming of age story. Like that's not that.
No, yeah. I think
Um,
my view of it was like, her mom is just so, like it was so weird. Like this, she's in her 20s. Like, you know that she's older. She's not a teenager, but maybe she could be a teen. I don't know. But she does. She treats it like a baby. She like plays her music box and tucks her in bed and takes off her earrings. And like at one point, she's like, okay, arms up. And she puts a sweater on her like she's a child. And
Mhm.
it's so weird. And the way I saw it was like, she's in this situation where it's just her and her mom. They live together. Her mother is very psychologically controlling in a way. And so she has to remain this like small infantilized version of herself in order to get along with her mother. So within this role that she has to assume, she's not able to explore a more sexual side of herself and a more darker side of herself. We know it is sexual because the director keeps saying you have to be sexual because
Mhm.
Odile, I'm sorry if it's Odile or Odile, but Odile
I'm sorry.
seduces the prince. Like the whole plot. Do you know the plot of Swan Lake?
Yeah, roughly.
Okay, well, maybe I'll say it real quick
Yes, please.
for people who don't know. So the plot of Swan Lake, and there's many variations depending on how you do it, but basically this princess gets turned into a swan, and her homies are like all turned into swans, and they basically can't be human again until I think a prince like confesses his true love for her. And it has to be like I think, there's different variations. It's like true love or first love or whatever. And then the prince's mom is like, hey, you gotta find a wife. So he's like, okay, I love you. Like he finds out, he meets Odessa, falls in love with her, but she turns back into a swan during the day. His mom makes him have a ball where he meets a bunch of women. And then the wizard who turned Odessa into a swan disguises himself as a beautiful, I don't know, black
Actually,
swan.
it's his daughter. He turns his daughter into the
Oh.
Black Swan,
And
and
seduces the
the
prince,
prince.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and Odessa is so heartbroken about this that she kills herself at the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Basically, like because he falls in love with this other version, she can't, like the spell can't be broken or something. Like
Hmm.
it has to be first love or true love or something like that. Very reminiscent of what happens with Ariel and the Little Mermaid. Yeah. And it's, I guess the whole point is like in Swan Lake, the roles are played by the same person. So someone has to incorporate the good and the bad, but the Black Swan seduces the prince. So
Hmm.
it is like a sense of sensuality, sexuality within the dancing that is portrayed as she seduces the prince in the dance. So yeah.
I think something that's interesting. There's a saying that everything is about sex, but sex and sex itself is about power or about control.
Dang.
And I bring this up because there is a lot of power imbalances in Nina's life, particularly as we're just talking about with the mother. The mother really infantilizes her, she controls her psychologically. But then in the company, the director is fully willing to take advantage of her in order, both because of attraction and control, but also to get her to play this character. But it's an abusive system, and
Mm.
the system, and I think that this type of abuse is very common in these types of environments
Mm-hmm.
where you have young vulnerable people who are trying to do their best and get to the top no matter what, and trying to perfect their art, and there's people who can take advantage of that. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's an interesting thing that this is about her coming into her own power, her own control. And especially because we were just saying that she is all about control, but it's not, this is a different type of control. This is a different type of ownership of her own self. And she achieves it, but there's consequences to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. It's interesting. I never quite saw it as like control over herself. Like first she's very
I don't know,
manipulated
is
by her
it?
mother,
Yeah.
and then she's very manipulated by him. And you're right. I think she does take control over it.
I
And
think she I think she does, because when she's starting to break away from her mother and starting to break away from these people trying to control her, she's becoming paranoid of Lily, who's the other girl who's up for
mhm.
Black Swan. And so in a way she's still kind of being influenced by these other characters, the other people. But then opening night she comes in and she's like, I'm doing it. I'm taking the
Mm-hmm.
role, I'm doing it. She attacks Lily, supposedly attacks Lily in order to keep the role. And like that's what I said. I was like, she finally gets the control and finally gets
Yeah.
that seduction, but at a cost. And it's
Yeah.
almost like I can very much see how I'm rambling here. I can see that paralleling the Swan Lake, where it's the white swan. Odessa can never get what she wants.
That's very true. Like she's just being herself, she can never get what she wants.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's very true. You're like her, like she basically plays such a good daughter and it doesn't quite get her anywhere because it's almost like it never fully appeases her mother.
Mhm.
And her being such a good dancer, her being really, really good, it's not enough to ever get her the principal role in the ballet. And she's been with the company for years and like it's never enough. Like what
Mhm.
she does is never enough. Yeah, and so this embracing and taking fully control and almost like choosing not to be not subservient, but to do what she wants and to not
Mhm.
be answering to anybody anymore and to not be let anybody control her narrative
Yeah.
anymore frees her to fully embrace this dichotomy between the, white
Mhm.
swan and black swan.
And to pursue it no matter what.
Yeah, at no
Yeah.
cost. Yeah.
At no
Yeah.
cost. And it's like Odessa can't, like it is Odessa and Odell who are played by the same character, but they're different characters. Like Odessa
Mhm.
cannot do it. And so I think I like that the movie also ends in a tragedy, the same way the ballet does, is basically what I'm saying.
Really? Yeah.
I think it's like you cannot actually achieve perfection, or if you do, you're gonna die trying.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Okay. So like I just want to, elaborate a bit more in case this wasn't clear. Like and she inhabits the White Swan very easily. Even in the audition, like he's like, if it was just about the White Swan, you would have the role. And she struggles to grasp the Black Swan, and she just struggles to grasp the side of her that is like less controlled or like more free, more essentially in touch with herself. And then in the final ballet, she able like to her perfect is being able to have both of these sides of her,
Yes.
being able to accomplish and embrace like this entirety of herself. So when she dances the final dance, and I'm sorry, these are obviously all spoilers, but she dances the final dance. It's after she supposedly kills Lily, who's played by Mila Kunis. She thinks Lily is after her role, so she basically kills her. And she really like envelops this dark side. She performs the dark side beautifully. And then when should I go ahead and just spoil it all? Like
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
we're
okay.
yeah.
Okay. She finally is able to do the Black Swan dance like perfectly, beautifully, like darkly, seductively, exactly like the director wanted. And then she has to change back into the White Swan for the final scene where she, jumps off a cliff. And when she changes back, she realizes that she didn't actually stab Lily. She stabbed herself. Like she thought she stabbed Lily, killed her, and hid her body, but then she realizes that that was a hallucination, and she actually stabbed herself. So she does dance the final scene. She has to run up these little stairs and then jump onto a mattress, and that's her, dying by suicide. And she does it. Um, and the show ends and everyone runs to congratulate her, but she's bleeding out at this point. And her ending words are like, I felt it, perfection. It was perfect or something because she finally embraced all these sides of her. So the whole movie is a pursuit of perfection, but perfection is not like good perfection. Perfection is defined as by this entirety of a person, and embracing all sides of a person. And I like what you said. Like the movie is saying, yes, you can achieve this, but it comes at a cost, and that cost is like she nailed this principal dancer role, but she inadvertently lost her mind and stabbed herself and died from it.
Mm-hmm. And to be fair, it is. I think the director meant it as unintentional, whether or not she dies. But I take it because you have like a white
Oh,
light fading out. I was like, I'm assuming she died, but apparently there's different
me too.
interpretations.
What?
Yeah,
I don't even know what a second interpretation does because she goes very still and her eyes get like
I
I don't think she dies in it, but like, she just goes very still.
yeah. You think there was something else? I saw either him or Natalie Portman or someone say like, no, we don't like it's a little left open to interpretation. But I'm like, for me, the white light. She saw the light. Yeah, it's about the perfection of and the unattainability of perfection.
Mm.
Um, I was going to ask, do you think that this is a commentary on these types of performance art and the way that they are trained and led?
Mm. I guess now is a good time as any to get into like why I personally didn't like the film. And one of the reasons I didn't like it is because it felt like somebody who is outside of this community telling the story. And I'll get into other stuff I didn't like, but no. it wasn't told from a place of me being like he's making commentary. And we see this. Like we do see people like the whole thing is that she's so desperate for the principal role. And the
Mhm.
person choosing the role is Vincent Cassel's character, Thomas. And so she has to appease him. So she does that sexually. And the person who is the principal ballerina before her did that, Winona Ryder's character. So like it is a dynamic that is very common and I think is very obvious. And I think we see it in a lot of like dynamics. Like you think of gymnastics, like this is something
Yeah.
that you do see, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it felt like someone who was not intimately familiar with this community telling the story.
Yeah. Fair.
So
Absolutely. I think that's true.
yeah, so it not that it felt fiction because I do think it can happen, you know, and I can't speak to that because I've not been in this, you know, and I read a lot of reviews because I was like, what the heck do ballerinas think about this? And
Mhm.
a lot of ballerinas were like, you know, it's a film that took like you do see these things throughout
Mhm.
careers throughout the ballet world, but they took like everything that could happen and put it into one character. And I was
Yes.
like, yeah, I
Yes.
can see that. I
I did
100% see that.
I did see reviews that they're like they basically took every trope and stereotype.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so in some ways, I almost feel sad for ballet people because I'm like, I don't know if this is representative, but when I was watching the film, I was like, oh, this is so sad. It's horrible. This happens. But then, you
Mhm.
know, not everybody. There's a lot of people who are in vulnerable positions, but people who are in
Mhm.
more principal, you know, bigger companies
Mhm.
and stuff, they do have protections through like you know, like Better Business Bureau, like things like
I
that. Like
didn't
they
know
do
that.
have, yeah, I learned that. And I was like, that's really cool. Like I'm happy to see that there are protections, but that's not to say it doesn't exist at like a smaller, you
Mm,
know, company with a
yeah.
smaller budget.
I think that's very fair. I okay. I don't know if this is the right place to ask this. I won't ask it towards the end, but does the movie have merit then?
Yes. Okay. So I gained some insight
Okay.
from a trusted source that I was like, oh, what do you think of Darren Aronofsky films?
Mhm.
Asked Jerome. And Jerome was like, well, he studied sociology, which I did not know.
Oh.
So a lot of Aronofsky films are a lot about like systems and how people, it's like how the systems affect people's lives and how they exist within a system and the constraints, as well as
Mhm.
like you know, the things that they have to live with it in these systems. So through that lens, I can very deeply appreciate this film because I'm like, it's about the like the ecology and the influences of existing within this system. So
Yes.
in
And
some way it
I
totally
very much agree.
merits yeah it
Yeah.
totally merits this like over the top telling because it's like no he's not trying to say he's not trying to hold a mirror to the ballet world and be like this is the ballet world. He is saying when you have a system like this in which women are trained from the time they're children to pursue perfection, um and it's such a volatile thing. I think that's another thing I want to mention is that her the ability to be a principal dancer like it hangs on a thread. Like
Yeah.
she can be slightly overweight. She can sleep in and she could lose the job. Winona Ryder's character, she's the ballerina, but she stops dancing because she gets hit by a car. Like it's so precarious.
Yeah.
Um
I think
and like you hear of these stories in real life of people's entire dancing careers being ended with a single act, which is sometimes very sad. I'm sure that, you know,
yeah.
it
Yeah.
ends in
A
some way,
single
but yeah.
injury, something happens.
Yeah.
I think when looking at I completely 100% agree. I think when I was looking at the story as a story about systemic abuse, like I was looking at it like yes, there is physical and sexual assault and abuse that happens anywhere, including places like these. But I completely agree that I understood that this story was like this is the type of environment that will breed something dangerous happening or something
Yeah.
harmful happening.
Yeah.
It's more than just a predator. It is again that your entire life is being controlled to perfection. You are being pitted against each other. There's only one role. You are berated. You are verbally berated. Like there's so many. Like that's very normal. Ask any like dance student. Honestly, they'll be like, yeah, there is a teacher who's going to just like verbally berate you, like and like humiliate you. Like it happens, and it's so normalized. And so yes, I don't want to undermine that it is pretty stereotypical of the ballet world,
Mhm.
but I do like that I was like actually this is a lot of different institutions and this is a lot of different places and I like leading to my next point, I like that it takes a horror route because I was like, yeah,
Mm.
how do you critique? a systemic problem and a sociological problem. Comedy and horror are probably your two best bets. Can we talk about the
Dude,
horror?
yes. We could talk about the horror. Okay, so I want to talk about the horror. I want to get into some of the like darker stuff and maybe we lump that all
Yeah,
once.
we're now getting into the more details. We're covering the themes right now, and now we're going to kind of get into more details of how they
Yes.
talked about this stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about the horror. Because it's introduced very slowly in the film. It's like you're lured into
Yeah.
a false sense of thrilling, and then I think the horror escalates
Hmm.
greatly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and to me, like the horror, it's introduced with her just thinking that she sees herself in places, and it's introduced before really anything really happens. So
Hmm.
it's not even like you're kind of primed to think that the horror will happen.
Hmm.
Um,
As
yeah.
I said, I was kind of like watching it. I was like, "Oh, this is not really that scary," and it's not a thriller. It's not a terrifying thriller, but I was like, "Okay, okay, okay." And then the last bit, you're like, "Oh, got it. I get why
Yeah.
it's psychological horror now." Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, some of the darker psychological things are she, the first one I can think of is that, Lily, she's so uptight. She never goes out. She never does anything. And Lily comes over and takes her out to dinner and they end up like getting drunk. She hooks up with guys and then
Yeah.
her and Lily go back to her house and they hook up and then she sleeps in.
Mhm.
Like she basically misses the first day on
Mhm.
stage and she goes to the theater and she's like, Lily, like, why the heck did you just leave in the morning? And like, why didn't you wake me up or blah blah blah? And Lily was like, I didn't go home with you last night. Like she entirely hallucinates like hooking up with her.
Mhm.
But it's a sensual hookup, but then it turns a bit dark because they're hooking up and then she kind of hallucinates that Lily like smothers her with a pillow after they hook
Mhm.
up. So
It's
yeah.
it's a very interesting tying in of that sexuality and that horror because
Yeah.
she also hallucinates her face on Lily's face, and
Yes.
someone said also her mother's face, and I didn't see it. Um, that might
Yeah.
be
I
another
don't
thing.
know
We'll
if I saw that. There's so many quick edits
There's so many
between the
quick.
dancing scene and that yeah.
I literally had to. I watched the whole movie and then I went back and clicked through because I was like, I clicked through and had to go see the quick edits because I was like, wait, did I see that? What did I see?
Yeah.
Um. Anyway, so that scene in particular is a really interesting combination of the horror tying into her embracing her sexuality. But I like that what you just said that the horror of it is that she's late for her rehearsal and almost loses her
Hmm.
spot.
Yeah.
Um.
And then I was left a lot of times being like, what really happened? And this is something I clicked through because Lily takes off her underwear and then goes down on her and stuff. But like, she wakes up with her underwear on her feet. And so I'm like,
And
her
also,
underwear came off.
her underwear came off, and the bar in front of her door is moved.
Yes. Yeah. So somebody
But
did leave in the morning. But I love the way it's shot when they come to her house because, like, you don't you see them together, but it's shot very beautifully where like she's just tapped on the shoulder when her mom is standing there, and then you see Lily, but like Lily is standing in a mirror to the side. Like they're filmed very interesting that it does make you wonder, are
like the
they
mom does,
actually there?
the mom doesn't quite fully acknowledge Lily being there.
No, the mom doesn't acknowledge Lily being there. And you can, yeah.
I also was going to say I like the way that they. It was something when they're both are running to the room and she blocks the door. It for a second it has that coming of age feeling. You're like, oh,
Mm,
this is the moment where she's going to lose. She's not really losing her virginity, but like it's
yeah.
like this is her moment. Like,
Yeah.
but you're right. Before that, she's getting into a fight with her mom, and after that, it's this horror, and you're like,
Yeah.
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 And that's what I say. It's not a grow. I don't. I just simplify it as a growing up story is a little too simple.
Yeah, it's definitely not a growing up story 'cause there's the horror element to it. She doesn't lose the role to Lily, but she's late because Lily spiked her drink, and even though she saw it, she still drank it. Um, and then Lily, like, she goes to the theater next day, and Lily is dancing the Black Swan role. Like, and it's basically they just have Lily block it because they're on
Yeah.
stage for the first time, but like they make Lily the understudy, and she's like, you can't. Like, she's sabotaging me. She doesn't want me to be this. And then she goes to the hospital, and she basically goes to Winona Ryder's character and she's like, I'm sorry you felt like I was stealing your role because I get it. Like she's coming
Mhm.
after me too. Like
Mhm.
it's this threat that your role is so precarious, but you've built your whole life on this moment and your whole career on this moment. And if you don't achieve this,
Mhm.
like it's gone. Like it's you put so much into it, but you could lose it in a second.
I agreed. And like afterwards, like after she has a horrific incident with Winona Ryder's character, Beth, that's her name, in
Beth,
the
yeah.
hospital. And after that, she hallucinates seeing Beth at home. And initially, I was like, why are you hallucinating seeing Beth? That's not who's been haunting you this entire time. But I was like, no, she is, because Beth is who she could turn into. She could
Yes.
lose the role and be completely
Oh.
unable to dance after. And I was like, oh,
That
okay, yeah.
explains why I was like an older version of Beth. And then, she again, like she has a fight. She does basically what happens in the final performance is that she's dancing and she's so distracted and uptight and in her head that she misses a step and basically her partner drops her in front of everybody when she's dancing the White Swan. So she goes into the dressing room at intermission and Lily is dressed up as the Black Swan, ready to take the stage for the second half. And they get into a fight, they break the mirror, and she takes a piece of glass and stabs and kills Lily. And then she's bleeding out, so she hides her in the bathroom. And then she dances the Black Swan. And then when she comes back, she realizes that there's no blood, there's no body, but the glass is still broken. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like this, it's a horror element in the sense you actually have this horror, but then there's a lot of hallucinations that you are like, that's not like what you see is not what
Yeah.
happened.
Like
Um,
there's like remind me, I also want to circle back on Lily here, but she hallucinates her mirror self moving without her. That's the really iconic shot. Is the mirror,
yes.
and it's as if something is inside her is getting loose, is being let out of control, and she
Hmm.
cannot control it. But
Ooh.
the other really significant motif of horror is the body horror, because she's picking her skin constantly. And I wanted to ask about the nails, but she's basically picking her skin a lot. She has like a scratch on her back that she doesn't know what it is, and her skin is like almost looks like goosebump flesh, but you later find out she's like sprouting wings, like she's becoming the Black Swan. But the other thing is she's like constantly picking at and even breaks her nails. And I wanted to ask what the thing with the nails was, because I was like, the wings made sense, the nails did not to me.
Hmm. So she has a nervous tick. Her anxious tick is that she scratches herself. So when she is anxious, it's not a nervous tick, but it's like when she feels out of control, it's like her personal thing that she does that she scratches herself. So
So the trimming
the
the nails
nails,
constantly is like trying to control the anxiety.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And she even steals a nail file from Beth. Yeah, so it's just like a very personal tick from her, from what I understand, is that when she feels very stressed out, ever since she was little, she would scratch herself, but given that her body is always on display, she can't have these like horrible marks on her back
Mm-hmm.
or anything.
And I think that's why, like I said, I think it's like a lot of body horror where like she peels her skin and
I
her
know.
eyes turn red, and again she sprouts wings, but the wings are growing out of her. Like
Yeah, she's
it
like
is,
picking feathers out of her back.
yeah. And it is very much she's turning into the Black Swan. But I like what you said, that
Hmm.
her body is on display and is the instrument here,
Hmm.
and it has to be perfect, even though it's going through metamorphosis.
Yeah. And you get a lot of instances. There is a really, I like this one scene that I love where she's cutting her nails and the camera is looking at her cutting her nails and then the camera switches to the mirror and she like almost has like an evil smile and she cuts her nail at an angle
Mm-hmm.
that like hurts her finger and it goes back to something I wanted to talk about which is the mirror self, which is
Yes.
the mirror self is almost always like the true self. And there's a lot of shots that he does, which you see the mirror version before
Yeah.
you see the person. And
Apparently,
it's,
there's like a mirror in almost every scene.
oh,
Yeah.
you should look for it. I mean, it's in so many scenes, and it's because
Yeah.
so much of it is in a studio, and in a studio you have a mirror. But like they'll show her and her partner dancing in the mirror before you show them. There's a part where she's creeping on her mom, and you see her coming around the corner in the mirror before you see her. Um, and to me, the mirror set like represented the true self. It was almost like, and then him showing the mirror self before yourself. It's like this is who you are, but then what comes next is like the version of yourself that you're putting on to get along with society or to get along with people or to be in a peaceful
Oh.
home situation with your mom or
The
to appease the
mirror,
director.
the mirror is the appeasing side.
No, the person, like what the person's face is the appeasing
Oh,
side, but the mirror is the real version. And I think that's what
whoa.
that scene where she's cutting her nails, she's like frantically trying to cut it because she thinks she's scratching herself,
Mhm.
but then the mirror self does it in a very evil way. And it's like, I don't know. It's like
No,
self-sabotage in a way. And yeah.
interesting. And like we said, if the cutting the nails is stopping the control and stopping the
Hmm.
that inner side from you showing and growing, then yeah, like she's gonna mess
Yeah.
up the cutting the nails.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Um, there's also the thing about the mirrors that it's also showing the fracturing of self. Like
Mm-hmm.
I kind of stopped paying attention specifically for it, but I was watching for that. That I was like, again, it's a mirror shot, but is the mirror shot interrupted? Is it showing multiple
Ooh.
fractals? Is it distorted
Mm-hmm.
in any way? And I think as it goes on, especially with the end of the mirror being shattered,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think that it is meant. I'm imagining and expected to track her losing her sense of self.
Yeah, I think so. And that explains why she dies by mirror.
Mhm.
She dies by the shard of mirror glass. Yeah, would you say that's like the symbolism with that, that she is I don't know. Yeah, she loses her sense of self and she no longer has this like reflection of herself in a way.
Yes, yes. Losing her real self and
Hmm.
what losing the concept of a real self. She is completely and
Hmm.
utterly taken over by this role that she has
Yeah.
lost any sense of what is real or not real, especially
Yeah.
about herself. I wanted to talk about Lily, but I actually, since we're talking about the filmmaking aspect of it, I also wanted to touch on, mentioned this before, but I like the very handheld camera feel of it. And
Mm.
part of it, I would also say, I was like, maybe this is just 2010 graininess, and maybe it's just because I'm watching on like regular HD or whatever. But there
Hmm.
was a bit of a graininess to it. There was close
Mm.
ups, and they had to do close ups a lot, I think, in order to like get away with showing Natalie Portman as a professional dancer.
Yeah.
A lot of close ups, a lot of handheld camera. And I liked that because it helped immerse me in the world of being like, okay, like this is, I felt as if I was watching a documentary about this ballet theater.
Yes. Yeah, I had the exact same insights. I was like, the camera follows her, and we're so used to seeing, again, we have a million performance scenes. We're so used to seeing it from the audience forward, but instead the camera follows behind over her shoulder. And it's
Yeah.
very intricate. I mean, it's great camera work because it's not easy. She's dancing with a partner in a lot of the scenes, and the camera is following behind her as she's dancing with the partner, as she's moving through the stage.
Yeah.
And it is extremely well done. But we don't get, anytime we're actually getting an objective view of the performance, it is either a
Hmm.
finishing pose or it's in the mirror, but we don't actually see a
The
lot of what
audience.
this looks
Yeah.
like.
We see it from the stage. We don't see it from the audience.
Yeah, not a lot. Or there are times that we see it behind her, like she's
Yeah.
facing the mirror, but we're watching from behind. Like, yeah, it's a
It's
very
very,
behind the scenes view of it.
very behind the scenes view, and particularly her view of it. I noticed that a lot of the shots were either very close up or long distance. And again,
Mm.
like these are really clever shots. And this is why I was like, yeah, like he's a great
Mm.
director because there's very clever ways to switch out the dancer and the actor. And like whole controversy on the dancing, by the way.
Ooh, yeah, we have to
Um,
get into that.
but yeah, but I was like, those was really clever ways of getting her to still perform and also still make this believable. But then there was also those are also elements that are used in horror. Uh,
Like close up?
Close up and long shot. Close ups, I think, can close up showing like intense emotion,
Yeah.
intense fear. You don't really know what's around you right now. You're really close into the person's emotions. But
Hmm.
long shots invoke the sense of loneliness and sense of isolation, the
Hmm.
sense of disturbance.
Hmm.
I'm thinking one shot in particular when she's dancing by herself in the practice room and even the piano guy is left and the lights get turned off. And so she's trying to call to be like, hey, I'm still here, I'm still practicing. And she hears a noise. And so there's like just very specific long shot. It's not super long,
Oh, I
but
know
you
what you're
see,
talking about.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
she's like,
her
it's just,
alone on something that is just kind of, it looks almost like a stage, but it's not. It's
yeah,
like, but the way it's framed,
it's
yeah,
like the
it's just her alone in
backstage.
this big.
Yeah. And there's a
Hmm.
lot of shots like that where it's just kind of her alone. And it's not that the space is empty, but that she is honestly kind of surrounded by shadows, kind of surrounded by these
Yeah.
things that are like, she's a very small girl in a big
Yeah.
world kind of
Yeah.
feeling.
And like dark forces or dark
Dark
shadows. Like
forces,
it's
dark
not
forces.
like it's safe and
And I
yeah.
even think of the shot in the beginning, like at the beginning when she's walking home and she's like walking down just the sidewalk and she sees someone coming towards her and for a moment she thinks it's herself because she sees the face and it's herself. But again, you're like you have it's a horror thing. You have this tension of being like, who is that? Who is that? Who is
Yeah.
that? What was
Yeah.
that? Like
Yeah.
I I love that he as a director uses these techniques both to show the performance
Hmm.
and they doubled as horror. Like those again,
Yeah.
the filmmaking, I applaud it. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah. I 100% agree. I think it was extraordinary and incredibly intentional and yeah, definitely added to horror and
Mhm.
yeah, added to it in a big way.
So I don't know if I was entirely clear on this or not, but there's the implication that Lily actually never means her harm. Except,
Yeah.
actually, I
Actually,
wanted
that
to
was a
say,
question.
yeah, yeah. I wanted to say this before, but I was like, again, we were talking about the systemic abuse and the systemic manipulation, but I was like, up until this point, we feel like we can trust Lily. But then when she spikes the drink, I was like, even Lily's in on it. Even Lily is someone who's trying to control her and trying to manipulate her. Like, but other besides that point, honestly, outside of Nina's perspective, Lily's nice, or at least pretending
Hmm.
to be nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I that was actually a question I had for you. I was like, is Lily actually out to get her? So Lily does spike her drink and then she sees it. Like she sees Lily spiking her drink and she walks up and she asks Lily. She's like,
Mm-hmm.
only 2 hours, meaning the trip is only going to last like 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and her, to me, her asking Lily that was Lily being like, yeah, you saw me spike your drink. Like, yeah,
Yes,
it's
it
not going to
confirmed that.
last long. Yeah. So like Lily is not innocent, but she's not evil the way that she's portrayed
Mm-hmm.
in my mind. And then I wish I actually caught this, but when they're dancing at the club, it's very quick scenes. And at one point you see the eyes of the black swan, but
Yep.
I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
it's Lily or Nina's eyes. Like I can't
Yeah.
actually figure it
I kind
out.
of assumed it was Nina's.
Me too. I
Um,
assumed it was Nina, but I didn't know. And then also
I
she sees Toma hooking up with Lily when she's alone,
yeah, yeah,
when
yeah,
she's
yeah.
alone practicing. And I'm like, but is that a hallucination? I don't know.
I don't know. I couldn't even tell if that was supposed to be Lily. I assumed it was
Yeah.
because I would have been paying attention to Lily's earrings, and she had the earrings. I was like, okay, I think that is Lily.
That's a good way.
Apparently, also a lot of the shots of the club scene, and again, they're really quick flashes, is just Nina or Nina in the background or Nina thing. Um,
Meaning she may not have even been out with
I think she
Lily.
was, but I think that I have to look at the trivia again, but it's like Nina, not hallucinating herself, but it's Nina in a lot of those shots. So that's why I assume that Nina was the
Wow.
black swan in that
Hmm.
shot.
Interesting.
Um, yeah. I think I enjoy these kind of questions about movies of it can be read either way.
Hmm. Yeah.
I like the kind of question about being like, you can, like Lily to her face, honestly, is very nice. Like she kind of teases her, but kind of in a friend way. And also, especially at the end, she comes up to Nina to congratulate her on the Black Swan performance.
Hmm.
And it seems very genuine, but also Lily does become the alternate. She
Yeah.
does talk about her behind her back. This is this competition between dancers
Yeah.
in this type of company that it's like you never really can trust people. So I was like, you can read it either way. And
Hmm.
I personally believe that Nina is hallucinating a lot of the animosity because she's
Hmm.
just simply paranoid that Lily's trying to take her spot.
Yeah.
But maybe
Well, it
she's.
also mirrors the way Beth feels because Beth was so sure that Nina was going after her, and Nina was like, I was not. Like, I was
Mhm.
definitely not intentionally trying to go after you. In fact, Nina defended Beth and was like, really admired her, and that's why she stole her little stuff from the dressing room, where the other girls were like, oh, Beth is so old. And Nina was like, no, she's a great dancer.
Mhm.
But Beth was convinced that Nina was out to get her. And then we see that mirrored between Nina and Lily. Like, Nina's convinced Lily is out to
Yeah.
get her, but
Yeah. And maybe
it could
she's not.
easily be, yeah, it could easily just be like Lily existing in the world, you know?
It can be Lily existing in the world.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Something I'll say though is that so many of the dancers looked alike, and it's obvious, like they did it for a reason, but like yeah, so many of the dancers just looked alike. And I think
Yeah.
that facilitated her being able to hallucinate that she sees herself, she sees her face on other people, or she sees
Hmm.
herself in
Hmm.
crowds. Like she just increasingly starts to see herself. And to me, it was sometimes hard to recognize when she was seeing herself because it would be her with darker makeup or her with different
It was
hair.
hard to tell, especially
So hard
when
to
like
tell.
when she does hallucinate Mila Kunis a couple of times, but Mila Kunis always has heavy makeup on. So when she
Hmm.
wasn't, I was like, "Is that Mila Kunis?" Like I was like, I
Yeah.
couldn't tell.
No, I couldn't tell. But yeah, I noticed that a lot of the dancers looked alike. So like they looked like something on the spectrum between Natalie Portman and Mila
Yes.
Kunis. So I was like, that's
Yes.
obvious. Like it's trying to show some kind of like
Yeah.
this is such a conforming world and you
It's a
have
conforming
to
world,
like be a certain way.
and you can also be replaced really easily by someone who looks just like you.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like Mila Kunis and Natalie Portman were also cast because not that they look alike, but that they could in a passing glance, like maybe without makeup, maybe think there's a second where you might think it.
Hmm. I
Maybe
thought oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name. The girl
Natalie
from The Good Place. Kristen Bell.
Kirsten
I actually
Bell.
thought, yeah, I thought she thought she would have been a better cast because she there. I was like, if she had brown hair, I think she would actually look a lot more like Natalie Portman than
That's
Mila Kunis.
interesting. That's
But my
interesting.
Mila Kunis just embodies this like wild
Yes.
uninhibitedness.
Yes. I was also going to say that so in the final performance, like Nina's backstage and she's seeing Lily, and apparently she's like dating and or hooking up with the prince in the scene,
Gosh.
and I was like, but I also think that feeds into it. And then she goes out and performs, and like I took that as part of being she's using Lily to fuel herself, which is another
Hmm.
aspect of artistry and art and competition in the art world, that it's like, yeah, your rival, you want to win against them and you want to get the spot, and also they're fueling your own art,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
competition is fueling your art.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Is there anything you wanted to say about like the abuse dynamic or the power imbalance and the sexual abuse between the director and her?
The movie sidesteps it a bit in the way that it's not fully that he is taking sexual advantage of her. But again, he is using he's using sex as a power to control her and to bring out the side of her that he wants. So like, she goes to ask him for the part, he turns her down, but then he's like, no, fight for it. Like he's cornering her. He's wanting this sexual instance. And so he kisses her and she bites him, and he realizes that she has this darkness to her, and that's why he gives her the part. But then after that, he again tries the same thing. He tries to talk to her about sex, about masturbation. He feels her up. He kisses her again. Like it's it's not a story of
It's
simply a man in power abusing young vulnerable women. It is using that sex to control them and make them better artists.
yes. Yeah. And manipulate them. And also, I think something it's not consensual, but it also isn't entirely consensual. And that's where the power dynamic comes in. Like she doesn't
Mhm.
have the power to say no to this person. And she realizes that his initiations of sex are all in the service of making her a better dancer.
Mhm.
So she just goes with it, but it is an abuse of power.
It's an
Um,
abuse of power.
mhm.
And like apparently Beth was in it too, and or at least was maybe
And her
implied.
mother, they imply that her mother was in a similar dynamic, and that's
Yeah.
how she was born. Her mother had the same
Mm.
dynamic, and
Yeah.
she's the product of that, you know?
And I think that that goes back to the systemic abuse, the systemic abuse, because I think that yes, this happens, that sex and similar things to sex get used to be like, oh, but this is going to make you a better artist, or this is going to
Hmm.
push you further. And it's like, no, you can be a better artist without abuse, without
Yeah.
manipulation, without assault.
Yeah.
But these things get normalized. Like, oh, this
Yeah.
happened to you. This happened to everyone, as you just said. Like,
Yeah.
happened to her mother.
And like, I think she's in her 20s, but like in our actual world, we see this happen to such young kids. And like, it
Mhm.
is really disgusting and horrible. And I think we're doing a slightly better job of exposing it, but I think you're correct. Like, I think this happens a lot to people in the service of making you a better artist or to give you more of a platform. Like, it's just,
Mhm.
it's really sad and disgusting and awful. And it's,
Yeah.
occurs, I think, in many instances.
It occurs in many instances. And when we're talking about the systemic use of it, it's not just the actual assault that's the problem, it is the mentality of it. It's
Hmm.
the mentality that you have to suffer. It's the mentality that you have to experience these traumatic things. It starts with this mentality of I determine your career. Like it's
Hmm.
these kinds of things.
And I have to put up with this and if I want to get somewhere.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's all these things that lead to abuse.
Yeah.
Um, and again, like this movie, I think is about larger structures of institution
Hmm.
and abuse in many ways. And like also same thing with her mother, that her mother is very controlling, and there's even apparently a fan theory that the mother was also sexually abusing her. Like
Hmm.
it's
Interesting.
it's about this like control in many different forms.
Yeah.
And when someone is not allowed control over their self, or they're seeking to get it in these very erratic ways, that things go
Hmm.
wrong.
I totally agree that I think he touches on these things and I think he brings light to it. But at the same time, a part of me felt like it was a bit like chicken shit or cowardly in the way that he addressed it because he makes the like, I don't know, there's something about him making Nina very comfortable with like the sexual abuse or the power dynamic that I'm like, I feel like you're sidestepping the issue. Like he brings it
Mm-hmm.
up that it makes you uncomfortable, but because she's always into it, it felt like it was sidestepping the concept. And I
Yeah.
felt that way about the eating disorder because I didn't actually know she had an eating disorder because it's always
Either.
associated with her being nervous. But
Yeah,
there's
I didn't
several
pick it up
charts.
as I didn't pick it up
Yeah.
as an eating disorder.
Yeah, that's probably an interpretation that people had, but when I was reading about it, people were like, well, you do see eating disorders. She's, has bulimia. You do see that in dancers, but like it's not going to be, again, it's not all these issues in one dancer.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I felt like it was like, yeah, this is part of the community, but it was also sidestepping the issue by always associating it with
Mm-hmm. Being
anxiety.
nervous.
Yeah.
Which is a part of bulimia, because bulimia is and eating disorders are about control
Yeah,
and needing to control that
that's
aspect.
true. Yeah.
Um, Shoot, I forgot my thought. Oh, I think this is also a product of being made in 2010. That
Yeah.
definitely, like, if it was being made today, I think everyone would be taking it from these lenses and understanding these
Mm,
conversations. And I think I don't know if he would, but definitely he would be called out on being like, hey, you sidestepped
hmm.
this issue versus
Yeah.
2010, we weren't really talking about these issues
Oh,
yet.
yeah. No, that's so true. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Should we move on to colors of the film?
Yes, because colors is a really big thing. And it's really funny because I did fully go in being like, okay, black and white, that's the colors. And the colors ended up being pink and green.
Green.
Yeah,
How did I not see green?
dude, green. The whole like it's so much like starting from the beginning. She wears a lot of white and she wears pink.
Uh-huh.
She has a pink peacoat that she's always wearing. Her room is entirely pink. Her mother's room is entirely green. Her mother and the apartment itself is always doused in green. In the club scene, it's flashing pink and green.
Oh.
And then as the story goes on, so she's in white, Lily's in black. As the story goes on, she starts taking on more black.
Hmm.
Um, I can't remember the other instances, but it is. It's a lot of pink and green.
Yeah, the green I did not pick up on. I don't know how I didn't pick up on it. And the transition from white and pink to black is slow. So I think I noticed she's always wearing white and pink to the rehearsals. And then when she finds a rod in the trash room, she uses the rod to like block her, like to have privacy to her door. And after that scene, I think is when she starts wearing gray and pink in all of this
Mm.
stuff. And the first time we see her in black is when she goes out dancing with Mila Kunis with Lily, and Lily like she just kind of ran out of her house, so she's just wearing a sweater and a shirt, and Lily hands her a black tank top, and she's like, "Here, like I always carry extra clothes on me," and that's
Yeah.
the first time she dons black. Um,
Oh, I didn't get
and
that.
yeah, and it's of course that night that she, has a crazy
Yeah.
night and drinks and actually, yeah,
Yeah, like hooks up with guys.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
And then she's
I
in
did not.
black after that a lot, I think,
I
in
did
rehearsals
not
and
get
stuff.
that. I did not get
Yeah.
that. No, absolutely. It's transitioning, and that is a pivotal moment. Um, it's also this is just a side note because again, fashion culture translates. I when she handed her a blank top, she's like, "Oh, if you want to spruce up," and I was like, "How is a blank tank top sprucing up?" I didn't get that.
2010. That was a 2010 thing. I like you wouldn't get it now, but I
I
was
was
like,
like,
oh
I'm like
yeah,
a
that's
girl.
something that would have done.
I was like, she's wearing already a tank top. Why are you handing her another tank top? Like,
Yeah. For some reason it made sense to me, but yeah.
yeah, I miss that
You,
era.
you miss that
Um,
era where you could just change into a tank top and that was sprucing up.
I was too young for this one. Um, I think the so yes, she is getting darker in her colors to associate her descent into this evilness, this lustfulness, this out of control, animalistic, whatever we're using multiple words here for it. Interestingly, Lily doesn't necessarily really change. She is always the Black Swan character. And in terms of the pink and green, actually, now that I'm really saying it, I think it associates the most with her and her mother. Again,
Mm.
there's other scenes where it comes up though, but it is most prominent, as I said, in the apartment because her room is super, super girly, very 12-year-old. Because she says, like, I'm no longer 12, like, very stuffed animals, pink, frilly. But as I said, the rest of the apartment's very green,
Mm.
which then made it interesting of why those colors showed up in the club scene.
Yeah. Maybe that was like, I don't quite know. I wish I understood that more, what the green could symbolize. I mean, probably symbolizes her mother and this control that she feels like she has, and
Mhm.
it could be like breaking that control. I do recall some other scene where somebody is wearing green elsewhere, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But even Winona Ryder's character, actually, the hospital bed is all pink sheets, and it's very weird because
Oh,
obviously hospital beds would just be white, but it's all pink.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize that.
Yeah.
It is definitely this pink is symbolized is related to the innocence of this
Hmm.
like innocence, this sweetness, this vulnerability of a young girl.
Yeah. But then if you had to say, what would the green represent?
It's hard to say because I think those two are coming in together. Like I don't think
Mm-hmm.
it stands necessarily on its own. I definitely think it's representing the mother. I think it's representing
Maybe it represents like it's some kind of desire or expectation put on her, or
maybe
I don't know.
or a failed attempt.
Oh,
It
could be because her
failed.
mother never made it out of the core.
Yeah.
It could be like this luring fear or
Yeah.
something of becoming
It
like her
could be.
mother.
Yeah.
So want to talk about some of the quicker editing that's done?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Um again, that was something that real was a horror element that I was finding where it's a really quick flash and you don't know what you saw.
Mhm.
Um, as I said, I had to rewatch the movie just to catch the quick edits, but there's so many instances where it's a flash and you see her face on someone else, or you see Lily's face on someone else, or apparently the mother's face on someone else. Um, and this is also, I kind of want to maybe touch this with the quick edits with the doubles as a motif in this movie. Um, but there's the really iconic, again, bath scene. And I did not expect this because I knew the bath scene. I was like, oh, yeah, there's a really famous bath scene where she's in the bath, like thing. But there's a quick shot of someone standing over her. And I couldn't tell if it was her or if it was Lily. Like, I freaked out. That was a
Yeah.
scary moment for me.
Oh, interesting. I like totally forgot that moment. But yeah, I think it's her. And that's the thing. I could never tell when it was her. So it was it was scary, but it was also confusing. So I was like, wait, is that supposed to be Lily? Like, who is
Yeah.
that?
And
Um,
there's a moment where Lily's standing in the shadows. So she looks at she thinks she sees her face and then it shows and then Lily walks into the light and it's like just Lily. Like
yeah. And it's interesting because this happens before she meets Lily. Like she
oh,
thinks she sees a woman. So it's not just
you're
that she
right.
sees a woman who looks like her, it's that the woman is like doing things that she does. You see it on the train where she is like looking at this woman and the person she's looking at is like making the same motion. And it happens when she's passing somebody on the street. She puts her phone away, like she closes her phone and puts it in her pocket. And as she's looking up, the woman has done the same thing.
Oh, I didn't catch
Um,
that.
Yeah, so it's interesting, but then you have moments, like there's so many mirror moments too. Like there was a mirror moment where I think she was pirouetting in front of the mirror, and I don't know what it was, but what it like it was something like the reflection was following her, and then the
Yeah.
reflection quickened
Stops.
and
Yeah.
stopped
It.
before she stopped. And
Mhm.
yeah, it was so good, but it was just like, yeah, it was definitely this concept of doubles. It was concept of mirroring, of seeing yourself, but also like this version of yourself is detached from you. Like you,
Mhm.
to me, it was like this other version of yourself is getting stronger. Like you mentioned
Yes.
that this darker side is getting stronger, getting more like in control,
Hmm.
but it's also an idea of detachment. Like you're
Hmm.
not in control of all these versions of yourself.
Yeah. I love that you point out, like it is, it very much, and I'm gonna touch on that, but I love that you point out that these happen before she even meets Lily.
Mm.
Um, and it definitely, like, I think the doubles is obvious connection to Swan Lake, that they're two characters who are exactly alike. And I find it interesting that ballet makes them played by the same person when they're supposed to be separate characters. And I want to transpose that to this, that it's like this is one person playing two different roles, like two different.
Mm.
Like I kept kind of admiring. I was like, yeah, that's Natalie Portman being really scary. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and it is this inner side that's letting loose and that's like going out of control. But like, it's the fact that the double is not just herself, but the double is Lily, the double is Beth. Like as we said
Hmm.
before, all these girls are kind of the same. They can all kind of replace each other. Like,
Even like Winona Ryder's picture as the prima ballerina looked like her mother. Like to me, there was even through lines going all the
oh,
way to her mom. Like from all the dancers up to her mother, they had some kind of like similarity in them to me, at least.
oh,
Yeah, and you're
it's
right. It is like this idea of replaceability. It's this idea of like
yeah.
doubles. It's this idea of out of control, and
You
it made
have
me
the.
think. Yeah.
I was going to just say, like, you have alternates as part of the
Mhm.
dance. Like, you always have
Yeah.
to have alternates in performance. What are you going
Yeah.
to say?
I was gonna say it made me think that like there was a version of her that was scratching herself and sabotaging herself. And
Yeah,
I like I'm gonna analogize this to Haunting of Hill House. Like Haunting of Hill House is a
that's what
scary
I was
film.
thinking.
Yeah, but they introduce this idea of mold, and the mold is so pervasive in the house that it actually lends this idea that the entire family, the mother especially, could be hallucinating because of the mold. Like you can believe that there's ghosts, but you could also be like, well, she was having intense hallucinations because of this mold.
Hmm.
I don't feel like there was anything to point at in this film to be like she was having hallucinations because of this, but a part of me was like maybe her mind split in half in some way, and there was a version of herself that was actively scratching herself at night or
Yes.
like hurting her nails
Hmm.
or like to her she would just notice things on her body or notice something, but I'm like that could have been a version of her that was subconsciously doing it, like self-sabotaging. Um,
Absolutely. I
yeah.
like I like the concept of her self-sabotaging herself, that like it is both this need to, because the part of her that is out of control is the perfectionism, is the one who wants this more than anything.
Hmm.
And I don't know, like it is also that side that's self-sabotaging her, and maybe she's also self-sabotaging to protect herself. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I was saying with like the two readings, especially of Lily, that I was like, because I thought of Haunting of Hill House too. I was like, there's a reading where there it isn't haunted, and the reading where it is. And same thing with Lily, where I was like, there's a reading where she does sabotage, and there's a reading where she doesn't. Like,
Hmm. Yeah, I like that it's open for interpretation. And
mhm.
yeah, I remember when I first watched it back in 2010, I was like, oh, she is definitely sabotaging. And this time I was like, oh, it's so open. Like for
Yeah.
me, the dynamic between the two of them was the thing I focused on the most. And I was like, Lily is terrible. She's messing with her. She's evil. And this time I watched it, I was like, no, it's very open for interpretation. Like,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah,
The person who's sabotaging Nina is herself.
yeah.
She like, and she's doubling. She's seeing all these doubles, but it's ultimately herself that is
Hmm.
the actual threat and the actual evil
Yeah,
thing here.
exactly. Like it's all stemming from her.
Yeah.
And she's the one who's like putting, like being in these situations. And
Yeah.
yeah. Do we want to get into like some of the acting and
I
performance aspects
do.
of it?
I do. I actually wanted to connect something that you just said, which was Lily's role. And I'm going to be honest. So, this movie I've heard about for years. I've always been interested in this movie, even though I never got to see it. It's always been told about this girl who is like super innocent, and she meets this like girl, dark girl. Like it's always told as if it's promoted as a story about these two girls.
Ah.
But Lily doesn't really become an important character until halfway through.
Hmm. I noticed that. Yeah. It was almost
I
exactly halfway through.
and I was like, wait, like, and it worked. The story still works great, but I was like, that's not how it's promoted. What do you
You thought
mean?
it would be like, you probably didn't even see this, but the movie 13, where she makes a friend and the friend like basically helps corrupt her
Yeah.
deeply. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was expecting. That is expecting, like,
Yeah.
as she is corrupting her, and this is her descent. As we just said, Nina's doing this all on her own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lily could be anyone. Lily could not even be there. I think you could even, she is there, but I was like, you know what? You could go unhinged and be like, Lily's not even there. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Part of me was like, is Lily even there? But yeah, no, I totally agree. I think, yeah, I think
yeah,
it's totally one-sided. Yours, that actually sounds like a really great story. I'm not gonna lie.
right?
Like someone who helps corrupt someone. Um, I thought
Was,
Natalie Portman's acting she's so good. Like I really liked it in this. But
Mhm.
something that really annoyed me is the entire first half of the film, she plays this very innocent, meek character, and it drove me nuts.
mm,
And even though I am older to her when she played the role as well as the age that the role is supposed to be, there's still an element of like her being older to me, right, in age in
mm,
real life that I'm like,
mhm.
it was very frustrating to see her play such a meek, innocent role. And I
Yeah.
was like, it just
It's
felt,
an,
it was good. It was definitely good acting, but I was like, just kind of like,
you
like
felt annoyed by the meekness.
yeah, I felt so annoyed by the meekness, to be honest. But
Fair.
then as the movie goes on, you see her, like all the dark scenes are still her.
Hmm.
All of it is still her. Like you see, I think her acting throughout is truly tremendous. But yeah.
Her acting is really good. Her acting is amazing. Like, I love that she won. Because, and I think, like, if I remember at the time, I was like, I think people were campaigning for her, especially with the dancing aspect of it. But I was like, the real trick that she's doing here is creating an inner world for Nina and showing it. Because I think that is like a skill that certain actors can do, where they're like, the character may not be saying a lot, the character may not be doing a lot, they may be very meek and mild. I think of Jane from Pride and Prejudice, where
Hmm.
you never really know what's going on with Jane, but Rosamund Pike in the 2005 does such a good job of showing that she's like, no, she has a lot on her inner world, and it
Hmm.
shows on sometimes in her face and sometimes it doesn't, but like, she's always thinking a lot. And you see that with Natalie Portman here, that she isn't taking in what she's seeing. She's showing that fear, she's showing that insecurity, she's showing that drive with
Hmm.
very, very subtle expression, very subtle, like,
Yeah.
she's in her head and you can see that she's in her head.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
thought that was
agree.
the real skill.
Yeah.
And then it was fun to see her be the wilder side. Um, I just speaking on that, I love Natalie Portman. I think Winona Ryder is so much fun, and I didn't know Winona Ryder was in this movie. So when I saw her in the credits, and I was like, Winona Ryder, Natalie Portman, like two of my weird girls, like, yes. And then they were like together, and I was like, this is amazing. um, so yeah, I think they're both, even Mila Kunis, but I don't know Mila Kunis's movies that well, so I can't speak on her. But like, they're definitely women who aren't afraid to take these more grotesque roles
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
these
I agree. Yeah.
more ugly, uncomfortable, psychotic roles. And
Yeah.
I think they did a good job.
I think they both did a great job. Do you want to talk about the dancing or the dancing controversy or anything like that?
I yes. I also just want to say everyone else in the movie also did a great job. Mila
Hmm.
Kunis did a great job being the very effortless and seductive Lily.
Yeah.
I think like she completely very much sold that. I was like, yeah, like she seems like the cool party girl.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about the dancing. I'll let you lead on this because I was like, admittedly, I don't want to maybe get too much into the controversy, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to get too much into the controversy, but I think you touched on it when you said that, like, when she was nominated for an Oscar, it was campaigned on the fact that she had studied ballet and learned ballet to be able to do this role. And then it came out that, like, her body double for the dancing wasn't credited enough. And that came out later. And so there was a lot of controversy being like, well, she shouldn't have won because she won because of her dancing, but really that was the body double. but the director and her were both like, no, that was actually me
Yeah.
in the film.
It's
And like, yeah,
it's weird because they're like, oh no, the upper half is her, the footwork is the body, and you're like, no, the footwork's also hard. Like she also deserved credit for getting the body
yeah.
double, and there's two body doubles in this. And I was like, no, 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 don't underscore that body double Sarah Lane did 32 fouettes. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Good luck. Yeah.
I was like, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah,
But
go
like
on.
I will say that when I was watching it, so I watched it before I was reading about the controversy, and I was like, oh, I get why they cast Natalie Portman, and it's because she, number one, she's got like the height and the size of a ballerina when she starves or
Mhm.
gets that thin. But secondly, she does have like the arms down, like from here up. I
Yeah.
can see that as a ballerina. So when I was watching it, I
Yes.
was like, yeah, I get why they cast her. And to me, I was like, that's why they have so many close shots because like she looks like a ballerina. Her
Mhm.
arms to me were still like a bit stiff. They weren't
Yes.
wonderful ballerina arms, but they
Yes.
could pass. And so I was like, yeah, I get it. Like they cast her because of this. She's probably not doing the more full body shots, the further away
No.
shots, the foot shots are probably not her. So when this all came out and they were saying, no, it's mostly her in the movie, I'm like, yeah, I actually see that. I do see
I
it
can
being
say it.
mostly her because it
Yeah.
is all close shots, you know,
Yeah.
but it
And
does undermine the skill.
it does undermine the skill, and I don't want to undermine that. And I think that's what we were talking about the filmmaking, that he uses a lot of close shots and a lot of long shots. And I was like, that was so smart because that helps solve your problems. You're like, you can show Natalie Portman from the waist up, and you can do long shots to show the ballet, show the intricacy, and that's the body double.
Mm.
I again, like I can remember this being a big deal at the time, and her dancing was a big deal at the time, and I think that was incorrect. I think we should have been focused on being like, no, the acting is just plain good. Like
Yeah.
the acting was a good job. And she did do some dancing, but I was like, I don't want to underscore that like the body doubles did an amazing job. They were absolutely amazing. And also Natalie Portman did do a good job. Like I think we
Yeah.
can credit everyone
I agree.
for creating that role together. And I feel a little, while I agree with the director and I agree with what you're saying, that I was like, yeah, she actually did do most of the shots. I was like, let's not undermine
Hmm.
the shots of the feet, the shots of the thing, like
Yeah.
that is skill.
Yeah. I completely agree. I will say though, as someone who really likes ballet, like I love watching ballet, and I myself have studied ballet in my 20s. This was not a movie for ballet people, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, if you are a consumer of ballet, it didn't capture the gracefulness of ballet for me. And yeah, so I imagine if you're like a patron of the arts or if you're a ballerina, you probably were like, this film isn't really cutting it for me.
Yeah. It's very much made for someone like me who I'm like, I think this is cool in a very surface level way.
Yeah.
Uh, and I wish this kind of actually made me appreciate ballet more. And I was like, wait, this is cool. Like, I do want to check out Swan Lake. I would actually love to watch Swan Lake now.
Yeah. And
Um,
actually, like when I first saw the film, like I taken all of my ballet that I've taken was after I graduated college. And like I saw this before I had taken ballet. And so it was interesting now to see it. And I'm not a good ballerina, but I've like taken enough classes and enough
Mhm.
studios that I'm like, oh, my knowledge of ballet has progressed so much that I can recognize this stuff. So it was very cool because I was so taken by it when I first
Yeah.
saw it because I had no knowledge of ballet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has that, it is very much intended for a general audience appeal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and if any ballerinas or people in the ballet world are annoyed by it, I think you're very valid to be annoyed by this movie. Like, yeah, it is a bunch of stereotypes pushed into one movie. And also it's a well-made movie. I hope those two things can
Hmm.
coexist.
I do
Like,
think all those things can coexist. You can be annoyed at it, you can be frustrated, you can hate that it's all in there. It could be way too dark, but it'd also be really well done. And
yeah,
like it's
yeah.
okay to have complex feelings about the film.
That's a good, that's good art. I hope that we can, because I think we've had a good conversation about it today. And I was like, yeah, so it
Yeah.
was a good movie. I enjoyed it a lot, and I am easy to please general audience. So
Yeah.
let's talk about BTS. And the reason why we're bringing up BTS is that we did a video like 2, 3 weeks ago about BTS's Black Swan, which was partly inspired by this movie. Um, I happily made that video and wrote that essay without knowing anything more than the Wikipedia plot of the movie. And so now I have to go back and reevaluate and be like, so what is the reference here and what is the connections? Do you have thoughts on that?
I do. I was watching the film and I was like, oh my goodness, like why did BTS chose this film as like the inspiration piece behind the song? And then as it kept going, I was like, I actually really like what they're saying. Like I think what we said about BTS and what we are discovering about this film are the same, which is when you are facing art and you're facing this place of where do I go with my art and how do I progress, there is a dark side that you have to embrace. And it's not about a pursuit of perfection. It's not about a pursuit of goodness or even achievements. Like there is a darker, uglier side that comes with this type of art. And in
Mm-hmm.
embracing that, you can fully come through it in some way. BTS, thank goodness, makes it happier because they're like,
Yeah.
once you embrace it,
Embrace the dark side, embrace the
once
black
you
swan.
embrace the black swan, once you embrace the darkness, you can come through feeling more yourself and more at peace. And in this film, when she does that, she does not. She's at peace. She just
She's
happens
at
to
peace.
die.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she reaches what she wanted. But again, what she was wanting was perfection. And I think what BTS is pursuing authenticity.
Yeah.
Um, and that kind of touches on again what we were saying, that getting Nina getting in touch with her black swan self is her getting in touch. Animalistic maybe isn't the correct word, but in a way it is, because it is this swan side.
Mm.
But
Well,
it
she's a
is this.
human turned into a swan, so
She's
yeah.
a human turned into a swan. Like, it is this idea of something otherworldly, or something that is no longer
Um,
human. And we say no longer human as in being animalistic, but no longer human as in being perfect.
mm.
Um, and I think that it is for her, that is the dark side. But I think with BTS, it is this side. We talked about this, that it's like them finding the wings through this
Mm.
darkness. And again, they're in a pursuit of authenticity and true self. And she's embracing a true self, but she's embracing it in such a wildly erratic way, and such a controlled and perfectionist way, an obsessive way, that it causes damage and harm. Whereas I think artists in general have to be able to embrace their dark sides, but channel that towards understanding themselves, and
Yeah.
channel that towards making something good out of this darkness, or should,
Hmm.
or if they want to.
Well, what they're both pursuing is just to them like the highest echelon of their art. And for her, like she's so good at the cutesy, pretty princess good,
Mm-hmm.
but she cannot embody these other sides. But for BTS, for them, that is the authenticity. That
Yeah.
is like being able to face these things. And it
Mm-hmm.
just so happens that it's mirrors of each other. But um, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like they ultimately are pursuing different things, but as artists, they're pursuing these things in order to be better artists or to like
Yeah.
be, yeah, to be better artists.
It's to be a better artist. I pose this question to you, but I think the pursuit of better artists, it does not require abuse or harm, but it does require being able to sit with that ugliness. What do you think? Do you agree?
I agree. And I think that's where I think part of me feels like Black Swan, the film, is very much of its time.
Mhm.
And I don't know why I feel that way,
Yeah,
but
it is.
some of that like doom and gloom and, sadness about it is part Darren Aronofsky and part, the time. But I agree. Like, I do think that we can embrace this idea that it doesn't have to come at self-sacrifice or
Mhm.
it just comes with facing the hard thing, but it doesn't have to be in such a destructive manner. And I
Yeah.
think that's where, going back to the systems, I think that's where Nina does it in a destructive manner because she's already in such oppressive, constrained systems and
Yes.
situations that she doesn't know how to do it in a healthy way.
Yes. This was the only way she could go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And perhaps
Mhm.
people in that situation or in similar kind of feelings, like they don't feel like they have another option. And some people do, you know? So it
Yeah.
probably will always look different for people.
Hmm.
I have a wrap up. I have one last thought, which I'll say is
Okay.
such a tangent. There was a weird thing about earrings, and I don't get it. Like, her mom is taking her earrings off for her at multiple times. She takes her earrings off in the room. She steals Beth's earrings and puts them on. So when she goes to visit Beth, she takes them off. And then her
Oh,
mom is taking those diamond earrings off her. And she's
oh,
like, "Where did you get this?" And she's like, "Oh, they're fake diamonds." And her mom's like, "Oh, could have fooled me, but they really are real diamonds because she stole them from Beth."
oh, I didn't get that at all. Okay.
Yeah, it was a weird thing about earrings. And I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, I don't know. But I thought it was weird. She was in rehearsal with earrings and it was like drop earrings at one point. I'm like, I don't know. Wouldn't that bother you? I don't know. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's a theme of earrings.
There's a theme of earrings, especially because, like I mentioned, Lily's earrings, she either has hoops or she has like this big
Yes.
bar.
And when you see
Um,
her, she's taking it off, like when you
yeah.
very first meet her.
Yeah. And I thought when she said they're fake, I thought she meant that they're fake earrings, like clip-ons.
That's what I thought at
Uh,
first.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I like that she's so pure that she hasn't even pierced her ears. But even the simplicity of being like, she has this very dainty little elegant diamond earrings that are like real earrings, but they're stolen, versus Nina, who has these like noticeable, because she wants to be noticed. She wants to be attracted
So
and
maybe it's some
attract.
kind of notion of sexualness and like,
Yeah.
because first Nina wears very like cutesy,
Hmm.
girly, like subtle drop earrings, and then she wears
Hmm.
the diamond studs.
Hmm.
Whereas Lily is always wearing bigger earrings
Yeah.
and more noticeable.
It is coming a bit into the sexuality and coming a bit into herself, especially if she's going from dainty earrings to the real diamonds. It is kind of this taking on this more matureness.
Hmm. Yeah.
I will also say, side note, I also felt the same way about the hair. That like
Mm.
Lily at one point is dancing with her hair down, and then Nina does it later on. And I was like, obviously that is a visual to the audience about she's very loose and free, but I was like, are you allowed to dance with your hair down?
I don't know anybody who would. Like
Yeah. Why would
that was
you?
knowing me too. I was like, that's weird. Like it's beautiful, but it just looked like a modern dance. It doesn't look like ballet.
Yeah. And I'm sure, like, I would love to know from people in the ballet world, ballerinas, like, are you allowed to? Because this is me and not knowing anything. Is that allowed?
Yeah.
Is that a weird thing? Is that not a weird thing? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Um,
Please chime in if you have a take on it. I don't know if that's normal in the ballet world or if it's weird or not done. I don't know.
yeah, would love to know more. I very much, ballet is something that I love to learn about so I can appreciate it better.
Yeah.
Um, my final thoughts were that I love Natalie Portman. She's just an actress who I think is cool and she takes interesting roles. And apparently she like really like wanted to do this role and help finance the movie or help
Hmm.
finance stuff while it was still being figured out. And it paid off for her. She got an Oscar for this, I think. Um, but I like her. She's cool. I appreciate when actors are willing to do the weird roles. And I said the same for Winona Ryder. And going back to our point about artists, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
do the things that are uncomfortable and kind of grotesque and kind of weird.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
really pushed her in that way. And she won an Oscar for it. It paid off. And it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
And
a
even,
very cool thing.
and again, a side note, but that apparently after this movie, she's refused to do nude scenes because it just like the response to this was really uncomfortable for her. And I was like, good
Hmm.
for you. Like, I like that this movie did have an impact on your career.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, she married a guy from the film. She married a dancer.
Yeah.
So yeah, this movie really impacted her life. I
Really
mean,
impacted her career.
yeah,
But I think that's interesting. I think that is that's a whole nother topic, but I think it's an interesting reflection on the story that we're talking about. That we're like, oh, those systems of abuse are also in the real world and are also real, and
yeah,
that is interesting. And also, this is about an artist who wanted to make an art.
yeah, I agree. It's a very deep film, and I think it's incredibly impactful. And I like that in most ways it holds up 16
Yeah,
years later. And yeah,
I definitely agree with you. It didn't. Um, I had a very 2010 feel to it, but yeah.
yeah, that's me too. Well, thanks for watching this episode, guys. If you haven't already, do subscribe. We make episodes weekly, and we will catch you at the next one.
See you
Bye.
next time. Bye. I have never seen Passing. I have never read the book. I was really into your video on it because I was like, oh, this is really cool. It sounds like a really interesting story. And it led to a discussion that I've not really gotten to participate in before. But you were bringing up a really interesting point about how there's more that the film could have done, and a lot of the tension and the anxiety of passing was being told solely through Tessa Thompson's acting and even Ruth Negga's acting. But there's more that they could have done. And I was taking that, and the word I was kind of using was atmosphere. And when I think of atmosphere, I think of it in the terms of multiple ways of setting, of there's ways that they could have done where I was like, you're saying like, yes, we don't want this to be a genre because it's not a genre movie or genre story, but they could have used genre elements. So using oppressive shots, using things closing in on her. They used like, again, you showed that they were very white, like they met in a hotel.
It
It
was
was
like a
very
hotel, yeah.
yeah, it was very bright and airy and all. And I was like, that's a really good use of setting. And so they were doing this intentionally, but if they wanted to show more of the anxiety, there's more than things. Close shots, claustrophobia, looking over your shoulder, doing quick shots, someone
Yeah.
looking at you from the background, like
Yeah, they could have
they're
ramped up the tension. And they do a lot of close shots of her. She's always peering over her when you first meet
Mhm.
Tessa Thompson's character. She's always peering out from under her hat. So it is a
Oh,
lot of tight shots. It is a lot of close shots. But again, it just relies so heavily on her,
yeah,
and I needed her to interact with the environment more
yes.
um, to get that feel. And
I look at
yeah,
it I look at it from a director's point of view where I'm like, you need to be conveying it. Every element needs to be conveying what you're feeling. And I almost, and not to say that this is what the film was doing, but if you're telling me that everything the character is just from the character's anxiety, I'm like, oh, are they just paranoid? Like, is it
mhm,
actually fine? Like, you have to feel it from every aspect. And that's
yeah.
something that this movie, Black Swan, does a really good job.
Yeah. And like, I think the biggest thing too about movies is that you have to translate it to an audience who isn't living in that situation. So, like with
Yes.
Black Swan, neither of us have ever danced with a dance
Mhm.
company, but we can understand the pressure, the anxiety, the being in a vulnerable situation because the film has translated that. And I brought
Mhm.
up Get Out, and it's like, I've never, I mean, now I have actually gone to like up to upstate New York and it was freaky, but like before I hadn't, but I was like, yeah, I get the uncomfortableness. I feel
Mhm.
weird for him, even though if I were in that situation, it would look different, or I
Mhm.
may never be in that situation. It's like I can have a lot of anxiety for him
Mhm.
because it's translated. Like I don't have to
Exactly.
be him to understand it. Whereas
Exactly.
like it wasn't translated enough for me in passing. And I was like, it's such a missed opportunity. And I focused a
Yeah.
lot on the time period, but the truth is it's
No, that's
like
true.
yeah, it's
Because
because, yeah, we're not
no, I
familiar
think
with the world.
we're not familiar with the world. I think passing means something different in the 1920s than it does in 2020s.
Yeah.
And you have to give the context to the audience by being like, this is what it means. And it doesn't have to be overt. It doesn't have to be someone getting attacked. Like, it doesn't, like, I'm not saying being thing, but you have to be able to give that context of being like, hey, she is in danger, or Ruth Nega's character is in danger here by doing this. This is a sacrifice that they're making by doing this, like, or
Hmm.
it's a privilege that they're doing. Like, whatever it is, you have to be communicating that in multiple forms.
Yeah.
And from what I'm understanding, it doesn't sound like the movie fully did that or did it to the extent that they could.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what makes horror and comedy really useful tools. Like they're used to talk about these uncomfortable things, and I think
Yeah.
it sounds like they could have borrowed elements of horror
Yeah. I didn't
to
need it
build
to be a
tension.
horror film, but like I think it was very effectively I think it can be effectively done where it's
Yes.
not a horror film, but it's borrowed elements to translate that
Mhm.
a bit
Mhm.
more.
To fully get it. Do
Hmm.
you think that the book did a better job of conveying that atmosphere?
No, but the truth is like you are reading it. If the book was written now, I'd be like, this wasn't written well. But it's written by a person, like that it was written in 1929. So
Mm-hmm.
it's written from a person. And I talk about this, but that's why it's such a big book of the Harlem Renaissance, is that she's not talking about it like, here is my world, welcome to my world. She's like, this is my day-to-day life. And her day-to-day life was
Ah,
so interesting because she's such a
mm,
part of a like affluent, well-to-do community
mhm,
that was Black.
mhm,
And you were not seeing that across the United States. You were not seeing that in the South. And so that was
mhm,
such a cool concept. And it was just published in 1929. And everyone's like, wow, look at this amazing community look at this
Yeah.
woman who's married to a black doctor. I've never seen a movie that was set before 1950 in which someone was married to a black doctor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so
It's
she didn't have to do the heavy lifting because you can understand from the publishing date when this is. Like your mind sets it. You're like, this came out
That
in
makes sense.
1920. This is her world. She herself is a black person living in Harlem.
And that is the context. Like her day-to-day life fills in that
Hmm.
context of being like, this is what it was
Yeah,
like. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.